Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Good, that thing went away. Okay, so thank you, Shelley and John, for giving us some great background on the project so far. Tonight is about hearing from you. And having hearing from our guest speaker, Justin Rhodes, to give us some context for the group discussion. So I won't spend too much time on taking you through a few slides, but I just want to give you a little bit more background information about the planning process and where this all fits, tonight's meeting fits into it. So here, just a recap of the different entities that are partners in this planning process. I won't read these off to you, but as you can see, we have several entities that are working on this research process, the information gathering, and then going into the planning phase. And the important thing is that this whole process is really iterative and very collaborative. So all of our entities are in constant communication with each other as we move through the next several months. This is just a little background on Word Cultural Resources. As John and Shelley mentioned, we're part of the team that is participating in the process by both conducting market research that relates to the renewal of Memorial Park, as well as leading the public input process, having these public meetings, listening to you, working on the website, and surveying people of Houston to find out what you love about the park and what you want from it in the future. And then this is Nelson Berg Woltz. We have our colleague Sarah Myrie here representing Nelson Berg Woltz, the landscape architecture firm that's leading the planning. And this is just a little bit about their philosophy. John referred to the first point here that it's about listening first. Listening to the land, listening to the site, listening to also what the public wants is really important to them. And also, I just want to point out that the final bullet there, the important thing about how they approach their project is that what results in that particular place it's unique to that place and can only happen there. It's not imported from somewhere else, and it grows out of the site and the community that they're in. Shelley described this very well, so I won't recap, but essentially you all can see from the state of the park that it is being loved to death, and so it's all about figuring out how to make it be vital for many, many decades to come. So what will the master plan do? So first off, our aim is to identify what people of Houston, yourselves, what you want from the park, what are your priorities, what would you like from the park in the future, how can the park best serve the community. Also, we're going to aim to ensure a healthy balance between conservation and recreation, two things that people have been pointing out to us are one of the most unique things about the park is that balance. The plan also is going to provide a blueprint for how the park will be stewarded for the future, how we can ensure responsible use of the park moving forward. And then finally, to stimulate renewal through ecological revitalization, design excellence, and cultural stewardship. Those are actually all elements that Nelson Berg Woltz strives to incorporate into every plan and every project they work on. This is just a snapshot of the planning process. So as Shelley mentioned, public input process is going on now. This is the second of four public open houses. We're also doing targeted workshops. And then there's also a lot of research going on into the ecological history of the park, into the human history of the park, and into even prior planning that has been done. And all of this research that's going on is going to inform the design and then eventually result in the long-range master plan. This just lets you know what the various public input formats are. We hope you will be involved in many of these. So of course we have the open house that you're here participating in tonight, and we really are excited about that. This is a really great turnout. We're going to have another one in about mid-December, and then the final one will be in February. And then we also have the online survey that is on the sheets that are on your tables. We hope you'll go on there and fill out the survey. And there'll also be, just so you know, rotating questions that change out every few weeks so that the site remains fresh, and we want you to go on there and post your comments. You can also comment on other people's ideas as well. So it's not just for us to hear from you, but for there to be a dialogue online amongst the community. This just lets you know there is the URL that is also on the sheet. We also are going to have ways for people to submit stories, and we hope photos as well as we add more features to the site moving forward. So we're going to pause right there. And actually, now I'm going to get into the program of the evening. So as Shelley mentioned, that there are these different open houses are getting into different topics that pertain to the renewal of Memorial Park. So for example, tonight's topic is the face of Memorial Park tomorrow. And so what we want to do tonight is examine how Houston is changing. It's one of the most rapidly changing cities in the United States. And we want to think about how does that relate to parks usage? How does that specifically relate to Memorial Park? So what we're going to start with briefly is we want to introduce kind of some of these topics with a brief video clip, which is from the Kinder Institute. And if you're not familiar with the Kinder Institute, it's based at Rice, and they have completed a 20-year longitudinal study of Houston demographics, and that was just released last fall, I believe. Is that correct? And so they have put together this video that presents some of the findings. And so I'm just going to briefly play a clip for you that will get into our evening's program. And just so you know, this clip is about 5 minutes long, and then after that, my colleague Joy Bailey Bryant is going to come up with our guest speaker, Justin Rhodes of Texas Parks and Wildlife, and they're going to have a brief conversation about how this information relates to parks and specifically to Memorial